if I don't care, if I don't do this every day, if I don't, it means I'm endorsing this. It means I don't want change. What does it accomplish for us? Hi, this is Rick Julian, author of The Way, and today we are going to talk about how to not care. I have to care. I mean, I'm a passionate person. I care for people. I care for this planet. I care for my family. I care for my friends, my loved ones. What do you mean, don't care? That's the exact opposite of what I believe is my purpose in this world. I need to become more caring. Yeah, we all need to care more. So, what is this not caring? One of the great things about the Way is that it prods the mind and encourages us to think through paradox, to invert our beliefs in a way that turns them on their end and gives us a new perspective on them so that we can evaluate them in a more realistic way. I think so many times, so many of the beliefs that we hold, we've just always held them, and we never really take the time to stop and question them and to think through them and what they mean and what their consequences are. So it's important to think through this idea of what happens if I don't care. Let's do a little bit of that. So many years ago, I had a business partner and friend, and before we began working on a project, part of my responsibility was to identify opportunities. We typically had more opportunities than we could handle, so we had to kind of sift through them to find the ones that were the best fit for us and also enabled us to make a reasonable return on our time. And so I would evaluate these through a number of lenses: profitability, complexity, appropriateness, interestingness, strategic long-term value. It was a good amount of thinking and a good amount of consultation back and forth with, prospective clients and all of that. I would distill all of that thinking into a little spiel that I would sit down and talk to my partner. I'd say, okay, so here's what has come in. Here's what I think about it. And I'd kind of go through these various criteria and to try to sell him on the idea of, let's do this. It wasn't a guarantee that we were always going to do them. I needed him to buy into it, or else I couldn't do it by myself. And I'd go through this. I would work hard on these things because that's just that was the way I did it. And at the end of listening to me for sometimes 10 or 15 minutes, he'd go, I don't care. Sure. You don't care. This is what I'm saying in my head. How can you not care? I'm talking about a lot of money here. I'm talking about, a big investment of our time and our energy and something that could really open new doors for us and all of this. And I go through all of this work that I've done and you don't care. Why does he use that kind of language? I don't care. And it was only years later, after us going through this same kind of thing, it kind of defined our relationship. Many years later, I looked back at this and it finally occurred to me why he didn't care. And the reason why he said he didn't care is because he trusted me. He had confidence in me. He knew that I was going to do my job. Before it got to him, he assumed that I had vetted this opportunity, done all of this due diligence, so that by the time it arrived to him, if it was up to my own standard of being a good thing to do, it was up to his standard as well. And if he agreed to do it, that language of not caring, the superficiality of it became uh, more apparent. He would not caring didn't mean he was lackadaisical. He would throw himself completely into these jobs. Once he agreed that this was something we should do together, he would throw himself completely into the work. He would We would do all-nighters. We would do work until exhaustion. He was completely dedicated. And as I had this awareness in retrospect, I said, although I didn't use those same words, I don't care, I often said words that were the exact equivalent, because if he proposed a solution to a creative challenge that we were having, or had an idea that of how we should go about doing something, it was rare that I would push back or give much resistance. I didn't really care because I trusted him. I trusted his analysis. I trusted his gift. I trusted his talent. I trusted his competence. I trusted all of those things. And I had confidence that it would come out well. And for 15 years or so, it worked out very well without either of us really caring. So that's one window into this language of care. It requires, not caring requires trust. It requires confidence. Let's kind of zoom out into the broader world. Do animals and plants care about the winter? Do they fret? Do they wring their hands and worry about where's the sun? Where's the warmth? Where's all this rain that we need in order to grow and sustain ourselves? No. The plants and animals in their own way trust and have confidence that nature is always on the job. They have an awareness that there is a cyclicality to our lives, that as sure as there is a winter of lack, a spring of abundance and growth will return. We know this. You and I can observe this in our own lives. Sometimes I think we get into this mindset that we as humans exist in a sphere that is somehow decoupled from all the nature and the principles and the laws that we observe in nature. The seasons in our lives, the seasons in our careers, the seasons in our relationships are as consistent as the ones that we observe out into the world. And that's one of the powers of the way, is how it brings our observation of these natural phenomena, of these laws, to our awareness. And it teaches us to think through that lens in order to grow our own wisdom of the nature of ourselves. It's very powerful in that way. And sometimes it requires that we get a little bit more simple. I think, if anything, we are overly complex these days. Yeah. And I think we care too much. I think we have gotten to a point where we believe that we are in control. Our hands are firmly on the steering wheel, and we are in control. And we aren't. We're able to make adjustments and steer. We're a bit like this canoeist in the book, in the canoe that we've talked about before, where the canoeist indeed is in his canoe on a river, and he can steer with his paddle, but in a river that has a sufficient strength, he's only doing small adjustments. The current is bigger than the canoeist and what he can accomplish with his paddle. And we're in a similar way, where we need to humble ourselves to this understanding that all of this caring, all of this exerting our own perceived influence and our intention and all of that, that's what's going to change things. And all of this fretting and all of this stress and all of this anxiety that we produce within ourselves and then extend to others in the world only introduces more stress into the system, our culture, our society. It's largely illusory. This is caring, trying so hard. This is being open to receiving. This is trusting. This is having confidence. I think in many ways we have become addicted to turmoil. On social media, I don't think it's unique to my set of friends. On social media every day for the last 4 years. We are now in 2020. If you're watching this in the future, there's been a president who's rankled a few nerves, but every single day since his inauguration, my news feed has just been filled, post after post after post. Can you believe what he did? Can you believe another thing he did? Look at an example. This outrage culture has just become our norm. We have normalized outrage. Normalized it. And I think it's under the belief of, if I don't care, if I don't do this every day, it means I'm endorsing this. It means I don't want change. What has it accomplished for us? What is accomplished is within you and all of this stress and all of this anxiety, it has left you in turmoil every single day. Often throughout the day, I'll see post after post after post, another example. Can you believe? Yes, I can believe. I knew that dog was a biter when I first saw him. And nothing has changed since then. So he bit another person. He growled at this person. He peed on that wall. He did this. Yeah, that's what dogs like that do. I don't need you to document it every single day. I understand exactly how this dog is. Yeah. Just like you and I are very predictable. He's predictable. And you emphasizing it and drawing lines and making bold headlines and all of that is just not going to change it. The only thing it changes is our peace. And I think more than ever right now, that's the best medicine that we need, is we need a little more peace in our soul, in our minds. So we need to care a little bit less. Care a little bit less. And I think there are a number of experiments that we can do to see how caring less or caring not at all feels. Take a break. Stop with the daily fretting. Stop with the daily exhibitions to our tribe. Everybody, I want you to see how much I care, right? I'm going to wave this flag more vigorously than anybody else has ever waved a flag for us, right? You can put the flag down and see what happens. See how your arms feel. See how your spirit feels when you aren't so stressed out. And I think that what we're going to observe is that nature is going to take its course. Humanity, our native intelligence, our native wisdom as a society, as a country, is going to reveal itself. When the election happens, we will see what we brought ourselves to, but I don't think it will be the result of all of this caring. This native intelligence exists at a level way deeper than all of our daily posting. All of this caring, all of this turmoil, they're just waves. Waves on the ocean. They rise, they fall, they rise, they fall. What is truly going to shift the direction of this country are the currents that are deep beneath that surface. The waves think they are doing something. It is the current that's really doing things. And we simply need to trust that we will do the right thing, much as my partner used to trust that I would do the right thing, and I trusted that he would do the right thing. And we did, and we thrived without a lot of stress. It made for a much more enjoyable ride, that we could enjoy the fruits of our labor without always having that enjoyment subtracted from by this constant worry. We did our jobs well, and we let things take their course, and they always took their course. And it was amazing to me to sit back and view it in retrospect by zooming out and saying, boy, there were some things that I felt like we were in control of, but the vast majority of it, the twists and turns in our business, there was something much deeper happening there. Things I could have never planned, opportunities that I could have never foreseen became apparent. So it will be with our politics. So it is with all of our relationships. There's no need to care so much. Show up, do our work, do what is right, appropriate to the task. But to sit there and really try to control it all when we aren't actually in control is to become infatuated with illusion and displays a mistrust of these deeper currents that exist in our lives. On an individual level, words will come and words will go. We will hear things that people say to us that could upset us or could be flattering. The challenge is not in managing how people say things to us. The greater challenge is whether or not we let them get inside us and get stuck in us and take residence in us, rather than letting them come through and just exit out the back. It's fine to observe them. It's fine to hear what they say, but it is important not to identify with them. Because when I identify with these words that other people say, whether it's in a one-to-one relationship or whether it's the President of the United States talking to me or to us, when I become identified, I'm in my personality. This confection of my self-concept, my ego, it's a wave. It is not the current of you. It is not your truest, deepest self. This ego, this personality that you have that helps you navigate the world and negotiate transactions in the world. It is not your essential self. Let's talk through this a little bit more, because it's easier not to care when you understand who is not caring. If I were to ask you, hi, how are you doing? And you say, well, I'm doing okay. Had this happen, I've had this going on, et cetera, et cetera. I guess I'm doing okay. Who is doing the evaluation of your state? Who is doing the reporting? Is it your personality? Or is it some other that is observing your personality and how your personality is feeling? Yes, there's the observer. That is our truer self. That truer self is as steady and constant as these currents in the ocean. Our personality is always dynamic, always in flux, ever changing. Today I feel good, tomorrow I don't feel good. Today I'm stressed out, tomorrow I'm happy as I can be. Always in flux, always in flux. Our observer self, who's paying attention, constant, steady, unchanging. The observer self does not care. It is the essence of trust and confidence in the way, in the nature of things, and how things always unfold to a level of intelligence that is deeper and more profound than our minds can imagine. We can observe the manifestations of this law of the way in our observation of nature. We can observe it, but it is beyond our comprehension. The way encourages us to think about, to not become attached to these constructs, to these ideas about how things should be, how we are, how we should be, that I must care. And the way we talk about not becoming attached to that kind of notion. Maybe I should care in some circumstances, maybe I shouldn't care in others. Maybe I should not care at all. I'm not attached to this concept. I know it for what it is. It is a mere idea. It is a mere construct. It is very, very malleable. It can be twisted and turned and inverted, turned inside out to serve me in whatever way I need it to serve me. What I need to pay more attention to than these ideas and these concepts of how things should be is how they are, and the fundamental principles that underlie all things as I can observe them in nature. Nature is our greatest teacher, not our concepts and our ideas. Every concept will be flat earthed. Yeah? Because they are ephemeral, they are temporal. I do not need to become attached to these concepts. I do not need to care so much about them. So the practical guidance is to, as things come into our lives, on our personal level within our relationships, in general interactions in the world when we're meeting strangers or having interactions in social situations, someone says something, we see something on the TV, we read something online, let it come through the front and exit out the back. Observe it for the time that it deserves to be observed, and to the level of analysis to what we know instinctively we need to do given that kind of information, and then let it exit out the back. We do not need to give it residence. We are not under any obligation to allow these words and these ideas and these emotions to take root in us. They come in, they do not have the right to log into our system. These words, these emotions, these concepts, we are the admin. Our higher self, our observer, is the admin of this operating system. We get to dictate who gets to log in, who we give those privileges to, and who we don't. It does not work the other way around. Don't allow them to log in. They come in, they exit. They serve their purpose, and then they are gone. But we are not going to become a hothouse of all of this emotion, of all this fretting, of all this concern, because we are under the illusion that we must care so much. Yeah. I encourage you to test this, to see what not caring for a day feels like. And if you find that you are in a more relaxed state, if this not flexing so much, not clenching so much, brings you a bit of respite, of rest from all of this stress and all this anxiety, observe that, be aware of it, and encourage yourself to drink more from that kind of approach to living, and less from this caring so much kind of conception of things. Before we close, I want to give a sincere thanks to everyone, and right now it's less than 10 people, but there are 9 people right now as I record this who have subscribed to this channel, and I want to thank you very much. It means so much to me that at least 9 other souls on this planet felt that this is a good use of their time to watch some or all of these videos, and I'm grateful for that. I hope that you will take this into consideration. I hope that you will care a little less and not feel guilty about it, and see what it brings into your life. And until we see each other again, I wish you peace.